Okay, I just want to start off by saying that this is going to be probably very low quality. Um, this is not something I'm used to doing. I had no idea what to do when I said I'd do it, but I said I'd do it, and now I'm kind of stuck at this point. But I'm going to try and make a video with voiceover. At the moment I don't have any clips playing, but I'll just ramble for a bit. But anyway, what I'm going to try and do is I'm going to try and make a case for the next swipe weapon art on scythes, of all things. Now, I notice not too many scythe lovers, and if there are, they're outspoken. But that is not as bad as what I'm about to do, which is not defend scythes, but to defend the next swipe weapon art, of all things. Yes, the meme that it is. At least, the meme that it was before it got the poise patch. Now, I hadn't used scythes before I think it was, what was it? Yeah, I think it was just before or after Ariandel, the poise patch kind of came around with a lot of weapons. One of them was the scythe, on the next swipe anyway. And that is when I started my first scythe build, which was a really odd German cosplay with Crystal Infusion, which I don't know when the infusion buffs came around, but I'm not sure if it had happened at that point. So you can imagine how poorly that went. Although I still had a lot of fun with it. I freaking loved scythes because of that build, and I love the next swipe because of that build. And what I want to do here is I want to try and add more context to what next swipe is, and what it's good at, and when to use it, how to use it. And I know there's like a big issue with next swipe where people claim that the headshot is seemingly randomized, the hitbox, it's not very consistent. But what's actually going on there is that the player has a lot of control over the next swipe weapon art. Like, a lot of control. Like, if you ever free aim it, you'll notice how affected it is by like slight angles or like looking up or down especially, and that's a big deal because when you're using next swipe, what you want to be doing, well, if you want to get the headshot, which is debatably a worthwhile thing to go for if risky. I mean, the headshot multiplier isn't really that much, but it does guarantee a stagger, even out of rolls. Although that will often result in like no damage at all, but the animation will still happen, I guess. And I'm not sure about its combo potential, but that's what I'm here to do. What I'm here to do is I'm going to try and try and make a case for next swipe's practicality on its own. So, if I had to guess, I think the problem most people have with next swipe, or the reason that most people have such a problem with next swipe, the whole consistency issue, but the reason for that is a problem with the game, it's other mechanics itself, and a very important mechanic, that's lock-on. Now, what's important to consider here is what lock-on does. And what lock-on does in most cases is it tilts the camera downwards. So, obviously it's a perspective thing. You can see above the player's, your player character's head, which is, very important for visibility. It'd be weird to have it, your back blocking everything. But now the reason this affects next swipe is, and I'm sure next swipe was made with, lock-on in mind, so it shouldn't deviate too much. But this is the problem I have with it, and I've found because of lock-on, is that since it tilts downwards, where the blade would normally be aiming if you're facing forward, now if you're facing right a little bit or left a little bit, the place the blade hits changes because it does come down at an angle, but I'll get to that later. But with the whole lock-on thing, it's at a tilt. So what that causes is the swing itself to be, in most cases, lower than the head. Which is a problem because you'll usually hit like the shoulder or the chest, not at all where you want to hit. And because of this, on flat ground, I find a lot more success tilting the camera freely higher, or at like even length with their head. essentially. Now, of course, this wouldn't matter with any other weapon because how precise the requirements are for a headshot, this is a big deal. So when you're using Net Swipe and you want to get that headshot, it's very important on flat terrain, keep in mind, to lock off and try to manually aim it yourself. Now this changes with terrain. So if they're lower than you, you want to tilt the camera downwards. And if they're higher than you, you want to tilt it upwards. Now the change on the angle is a little more violent than you might think. It's very easy to go way over their head or way, at their feet. That's a problem. I'm still working it out. It depends on the terrain, steep stairs, steep slopes, slight slopes, or whatever it is. But at the moment, I've mostly just been trying to figure out how to headshot specific moves that are important to headshot. In this case, the one I figured out pretty consistently is Perseverance. Now, Reapers are unique because they're one of the few weapons that can interrupt that, which is so satisfying, I must add. And on flat terrain, very easy to do, because they'll either have to take the hit or roll out with Perseverance, which is, I don't think anyone's thought about doing that before. Usually the intention with Perseverance is just, I can trade. But in this case, they can't, because you've taken away the one thing they had, which was unbeatable poise. It's a sort of poise breaker. Now, I'm also trying to figure out how to make it work against Stomp. Also, I'm going on about my strategies already. That's probably not where I should be going here, or even talking about it at all in this video. So, moving on. Another issue with Neck Swipe is the way the swing angles itself. So, essentially, it starts high on the right side, which is where the swing starts up, and it gets lower. So, what has happened is, if you're not facing directly at them, the where the blade hits can change dramatically. Now, this is actually also very useful for roll catching purposes, which is one of my favorite parts about the weapon, because if you so assuming they'll roll, stay in my range and roll, where I can hit them, and they're rolling for the swing, what I want to do is I want to turn more right, and what that will cause is that will make the blade reach them at a slower rate. So essentially, were I to just attack them face on, nothing would change. I would be, it hit them at the expected time. But if you tilt left or right, it's some cases right will be helpful to hit sooner, but the swing starts so high it's usually pretty rare. So most cases you'll just be wanting to slow. I'll be wanting to slow the swing down, so I'll aim right to them. So what does it cause? They'll roll into a very different timing than what they expected. And that's one of my favorite things about Neck Swipe. The headshot is, still pretty good. It's very specific situations. But the roll catch potential with it is just as fun and effective, I'd say. Oh man, it's only now that I've had a break and stopped and looked at what I've done so far that I realize, oh man, I was not meant for these kind of videos. I'm a bit of a rambler. I'm sorry. I imagine I've fucked things up, and for sake of getting it out, the video, I'm not even gonna go back and edit it, because I'll be here forever if I corrected every mistake and syllable I fucked up. So I hope this is easy to follow still. But third point, I'm done on this one. Is that the poise that it was added to the Neck Swipe helps to really deal with the Scythe's major problem, which is when someone gets in on you. And so because of the sweet spot damage on the Scythe, which is its coolest and most infamous property, which is where, if you're hitting at a certain range, you'll do more damage, but the closer in they are, you'll do, when they're close and not, where the blade is. So if you're hitting them with the stick, basically, you'll do much less damage. But it's apparently it's still slashing damage. You hit them with the stick end. Might change the blunt, but oh well. That's too much detail. But essentially, the Scythe problem is when an enemy gets in, presses you from close range, you're at a bit of a disadvantage. You swing slower usually. You'll do less damage in the first place, and it'll go badly. But because of the poise buff, what this means is when they get in on you, you now have a method to force them out of your territory. Basically, it'll force a roll because they usually won't be able to interrupt the poise, and you'll be able to have they'll have a rollout, give you more room, which is where you want to operate at. Scythe, sweet spot range, or they'll keep on swinging and you'll get a free hit for you to then roll out of before they can recover, or keep up the pressure, I guess, and change it around. But the poise really, really helps to alleviate the Scythe's biggest problem, which is that whole close range issue. Being pressured. It's a very welcome addition and makes defending yourself much easier. Yeah, I think for sake of keeping this as short as possible, I'll stop there. Plus, it's gotten really late since I started this, and I said I'd finish it before I went to sleep, because otherwise I'll never get this done. That's a problem with me. But fuck it, it's done. I've done something. Hopefully it's good enough. I apologize for the quality of clips. I did all this in like a night, trying to spam the webinar as much as possible on posts that I feel really sorry for. I mean, I guess it must have seemed pretty scummy or insulting for me to just keep on pressing L2 all the time, especially against that one poor earful Street Sword host I met. But yeah, I played pretty dumb. I was trying to get as many examples as I can against my better judgment, just spamming it constantly. Usually you want to do it that much. It's specific to weapons for slow recovery that you want to interrupt. Perseverance, which I never even found a clip of. No perseverance example, which is a really big problem. But because that's one of the best things about it, and I really should have an example of it somewhere. But God, I'm still rambling. I should just end the video already. I am so sorry you had to suffer for this. I like Next Swipe. That's it. I think it's cool. I think the sides are cool. I don't think they don't get the love they should. But yeah, that's it. Oh God, never let me do this again, guys, please.